Hey guys, this lesson is mainly intended for grade 8 students of Doha International School as part of their curriculum. It's about relative clauses. Let me start with a quick review of what we studied last time. We started off with a definition of a relative clause, and we said that a relative clause is a short phrase that contains one of the relative pronouns who, which, that, and so on. Then we come to the point of differentiating between defining and non-defining relative clauses, and we said that a defining relative clause is essential to the sentence and we can't delete it, whereas a non-defining relative clause gives extra information and it's always marked by commas. We can delete it without affecting the general meaning of a sentence. And then we touched upon the relative pronouns. We had a list of them and we discussed when and how to use each one of them. Finally, we talked about leaving out the relative pronoun, I mean deleting it, and we said there are two main cases where we can delete the relative pronoun. One is when the relative clause is an object one. Like, for example, you can say, the book which I read was interesting. In this case, you can delete which because it refers to an object, and you can simply say, the book I read was interesting. Okay. The other case was when it follows a superlative adjective. For example, you can say, he was the nicest person whom I ever met. You can delete whom in this sentence and simply say, he was the nicest person I've ever met. Alright, now let's learn new stuff. Here we go. The first idea for today's lesson is combining sentences. Well, one of the main functions, the main purposes of relative clause is to combine two sentences together. And guys, this is very important for your writing skills also. It's not just important for grammar. So when I mark your essays, I need to see these smooth sentences. Let's have an example to make it clear. I'm gonna apply the thoughts and everything to the examples. I have a friend, full stop. She lives in Paris. Now, reading this will sound awkward. It is redundant in a way, redundant. So in order to get rid of this, you can combine the two sentences and make them as one. Like here, I have a friend who lives in Paris. Now, what we did here is actually we deleted the full stop here because obviously we want to make them one sentence. Secondly, we deleted this pronoun, she. Where is it? It's not there. Here. I have a friend who lives in Paris. She is gone. Because we don't need to repeat the same pronoun when we combine relative clauses. This is one of the common mistakes among learners. I'm gonna touch upon that in a minute. So, two things to do. Delete the full stop. Make them one sentence, I mean. Secondly, delete also the repeated pronoun. Mainly it is found in the second sentence, so we don't need it. Let me give you more examples to make it even clearer. This is the house. Jack built it. Now even now reading it looks like robot English, you see. So it's better to say, this is the house that Jack built. It goes smooth, you know, when you read it. This affects your style. That's why I'm talking about writing here, though we are mainly focusing on grammar. But everything is connected to everything in English. It's an integrated process of learning. So this is a knowledge, you know, this knowledge will help you in other skills, mainly writing. So this is good for your style. He was my teacher. I will never forget him. You can simply say, he was my teacher whom I will never forget. So the relative pronoun here functions as a link between the two sentences to make them one. Alright, where is him here in this sentence? He's not there. This is the mistake again the students do. They say, he was my teacher whom I will never forget him. No need for him here in this case, it's deleted. Yet another example, that is the road, it leads to the railway station. We can simply say, that is the road which leads to the railway station. Right, we make them one sentence. Let's talk about a couple of things here, two notes. One is, when sentences are combined, articles often change. Mainly we change the indefinite articles a and an to the definite article the. Let's see the change that happens. Examples, of course. We met a man at the theater. He is a writer. Now here the man is indefinite. We don't know. It can be any man. When I say we met a man, it can be anyone. But when I say something like this, the man whom we met at the theater is a writer. Now we combine the two sentences using the criteria we learned a minute ago, and there is something else to focus on here, the articles. Now you see the highlighted words in green. We have first a, and I told you why. Now the reason why we have the in the second case, the man whom we met, is because of this phrase, whom we met at the theater. This phrase defines which man we're talking about. It's not any man anymore. It does not refer to anybody. It refers particularly to that man whom we met at the theater. That's why now the man is definite, and we have to use the as a definite article, right? Yet another example. A policeman received an award for excellent service. He is a friend of mine. Now when I read a policeman received an award, that means it can be any policeman again. But now in the second case, when I combine them, the policeman who received an award, again, who received an award is a phrase that defines this policeman. So now it's definite, it's known, we know which one we're talking about. That's why we use that here. Alright, maybe this one is clearer. I spoke to a doctor. She told me not to worry. So I spoke to a doctor. It can be any doctor. But when I say the doctor I spoke to told me not to worry, so it's not any doctor here, the one I spoke to. So it's definite. Alright, that's one thing. Two, let me talk about the common mistake that I told you about a minute ago. When we combine sentences, we do not repeat the subject. Never do that. Alright? So instead of saying the bus that goes to Cairo, it leaves from here, which is completely wrong, the best way of saying it, or the correct way of saying it, is the bus that goes to Cairo leaves from here. And now it is correct, it's right. Alright, so we don't need it. Why repeating the same thing? Because it here refers back to the bus, so it's already there. Obviously we don't need. The woman who is sitting at the desk, she is Mrs. Winter. Right, again it's wrong, and we can just delete she in order to make it correct. The woman who is sitting at the desk is Mrs. Winter. Okay, let's move on to something else. We're going to talk about relative clauses with an ing form. More often we have relative clauses that contain the continuous tense. So there is something now here about how to deal with these relative clauses. This is what we call reducing them. Reducing means deleting some parts in order to make them shorter. Alright, deleting some parts in grammar is called ellipsis. Ellipsis means deleting some parts. Okay, so we need to remember one thing about reducing the relative clauses. It only happens when the relative clause is a subject relative clause, not an object one. Examples: the tall man who was standing by the river is my uncle. Who was standing, this is the relative clause, right? It contains ing here, a continuous form of the verb, right? We can make it shorter if we like by doing this. We don't only delete the relative pronoun, but also we delete the verb to be. So the tall man standing by the river is my uncle. You see, these two words has gone, right? Another example: she has never met the lecturer that is leading today's seminar. Again, we can make it shorter by saying she has never met the lecturer leading today's seminar. I sent a card to the girl who is living across the street. Right? We can make it shorter by saying I sent a card to the girl living across the street. Now, I have a point here to make. I'm not suggesting that the sentences with a longer form, I mean those ones, are wrong. No, not in any possible way. I'm just suggesting that we can make them shorter. Both cases are correct, but it's up to you to make your sentences longer or shorter here in this case. Okay. Finally, we are going to talk about what as a relative pronoun. We can use what, like who, which, etc., the other ones, here as a relative pronoun. It means the things or the thing, if it is singular, that is done, said, wanted, etc. Here are some examples. We didn't understand what she said. This means the things she said. Okay. Or what I want now is a cup of tea. This means the thing that I want now is a cup of tea. Alright, so this is it, guys. I hope you have a clear idea now about the relative clauses and the pronouns and all that kind of stuff. And please, if you have any questions, ask me. Thanks for watching. Take care and bye bye.